Okay, friends, so we just learned about texture. And, you know, some of you might be thinking, I don't have a metallic crayon. Well, that's okay if you don't have a metallic crayon. Just use regular crayons or whatever you do have to color with, and you can still create texture. Now, I'm going to use crayons, and I'm going to talk about why I'm going to use crayons momentarily. But if you have a pencil or coloring or markers instead, choose some. You can color this in however you like. That doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this black crayon, and I'm going to color lightly because then it'll show up gray. And I'm going to color on this one first. So I'm going to start with just her arms, and I'm going to lightly color it in so it's gray. Now, when I do it lightly like this, you can see how the crayon leaves these kind of bumpy shapes behind, or bumpy looking things behind. So depending on what you're coloring on, it's going to look like this. So crayons automatically already create texture because of the waxy material they're made out of. Now I'm going to take a white crayon. So many of you might be thinking, why do we have white crayons? Now white crayons are great for blending colors together. So, oops, I dropped all those. So then I'm going to take my white crayon and I'm going to smooth it out, and I'm going to color in different directions on it. And I know to say not to do that, but with the white crayon, it smooths it out. So you see the difference between this texture and that texture? See how this one looks much more smooth and this one looks much more rough. So we're going to smooth it out, and I like to go in circles and round shapes. So if it's in a round shape, I color in a circle. If it's a square shape, I like to color back and forth and up and down. So back and forth and circular shapes, and all that does is it changes that texture. Okay? So if you didn't know what a white crayon was for, a white crayon is for a lot of different things. And so what this white crayon, I'm using it to smooth out my textures. Now, the body, I'm going to make this carrot orange color because I like orange. It's a color I like to color with a lot. Now it says carrot orange. I don't know about you, but that doesn't quite look like a carrot orange to me, but that's okay. Maybe there's some carrots that are this color. Okay, so I'm coloring in my body. And again, when you color it in just regularly with just a regular crayon, it's going to create this crayon texture, and you can feel it when you touch it. It's very smooth bumpies, not very, not a lot of texture, but you can tell the difference between where you've colored and where there's paper. So it does, because your crayons have a waxy feel to them, so they feel kind of like a candle. Now, I'm going to smooth out half of my body this way so that you can see the difference. So as I'm coloring over areas, you can see that it changes the way that it looks. Okay? So you can see that this is kind of blurry or blended out. And like I said, I like going different directions because I'm trying to change the appearance of the crayon that I've already put down. Okay? So it's kind of hard to see it on here. It was easier on the other way. So if I blend it some more, you can tell that this has now changed the way that it looks, but without changing the color too much. It might make it a little bit lighter, but it doesn't actually change the color very much. Okay. So now I'm going to use, let's use pink. I like to use pink. So let's use pink for the heart. Oh no, that's red. Let's see. How well does this pink stand out? Okay. Pink stands out pretty good. And also, crayons textures change depending on how hard you press down. So if I press down hard, the crayon's texture is going to be very, very smooth. If I press down lightly, the crayon's texture is going to be very, very light. And it's going to not be very smooth either. I'm going to do her arms in yellow. So with yellow, it's always a good idea to press down a little bit harder with yellow. Not super hard to where it feels like we're going to break our crayons, but a little bit harder so that we get the appearance of the yellow being there. Because when you use yellow, it can be very, very hard to see sometimes. All right, so I'm going to use red for her fingers. I just like using red. Red's one of my favorite colors to color with. And then I'm going to make her bow red, which if you notice, we made her bow very asymmetrical as well. I have one smaller part, one bigger part. And then, where's my violet color? Violet's one of my other colors I like to color with. So I'm going to make her face violet. Now I'm coloring really, really lightly with the violet. And so you can see the difference between this texture here, where it's very smooth, very solid, and this one isn't as much. And that's okay. So I'm just coloring over my lines. I'm not coloring in the eyes. I'm going to leave those alone. Actually, I'm going to do the eyelids so it looks like she has eyeshadow. Oh, I think that she has blue eyeshadow, because why not? And then maybe she has her little antennae, so got little blue dots on the end. Okay, so, and if I wanted to smooth out my purple texture or violet texture, I could just go across it in a different direction. And as you can see, as I kind of go across her face, that the lines in the crayon lines change temperature, or temperature, change texture. So this is very smooth and this looks very rough. So if I color over this side, it also helps us to blend out some of our white spaces. We always want to try to get as much of our white space covered up as we can, because our pictures look better when we've blended out our white space. Boop. Oh, that looks pretty good. Oh, I forgot down here. So let's add in some green down here, just for contrast. All right, so we've used a lot of colors on a robot, but experiment with whatever coloring you have. If you have colored pencils, you can do the same thing with a white colored pencil, where it'll blend out the color and it'll look smoother. And then, you know, it shows up a little bit better in person than it does on camera. So just give it a try and, you know, show me what you've done. And if you need to take 2 days for coloring, you absolutely can take 2 days for coloring. If you want to color a background, that's fine. But you don't have to do it all in one sitting, because sometimes coloring hurts your hands. And I know that my hands hurt after coloring a lot. So don't worry, take your time. You can color for 2 days. Because tomorrow what we have, what our plan is to do some review and finish. So that's all we really have for tomorrow. So, all right, friends, have a great day.